Imagine lying down to sleep with no door to lock, no walls, no roof, and no weapon that could stop the thing already watching you from the dark. This was every single night for hundreds of thousands of years, and somehow your ancestors survived all of them. If even one of them had failed, you would not exist. So let's ask the question that nobody thinks to ask. How did the first humans sleep at all? Because sleep is the most dangerous thing a living creature can do. When you sleep, you go blind, you go deaf, you stop moving. For 7 or 8 hours, you become soft, warm, motionless meat lying in the open on a continent absolutely crawling with animals that would happily eat you. And yet, we did it every night for millions of years. Let's find out how. First, you have to understand just how outmatched our early ancestors were. Picture Australopithecus, the little upright ape that walked the African savanna over 3 million years ago. Lucy, the most famous of them, stood about 3.5 feet tall and weighed less than a large dog. She had no claws, no fangs. She could not outrun a lion, could not outclimb a leopard once it committed, and could not outmuscle anything bigger than a rabbit. She was, to put it bluntly, on the menu, and the predators of that world were nightmares. There were saber-toothed cats the size of modern lions, with canine teeth as long as your hand. There were giant hyenas that hunted in packs and could crush bone like a twig. There were leopards, which even today are the single most efficient killers of primates on Earth. A leopard hunts at night, sees in the dark far better than you, climbs trees carrying prey heavier than itself, and moves in total silence. To a sleeping early human, a leopard was not a risk, it was a verdict. We actually have the fossils to prove this. There is a famous skull called the Taung child, a young Australopithecus who died almost 3 million years ago. For a long time, nobody knew what killed him. Then, scientists noticed strange puncture marks in the eye sockets and damage to the skull, and they matched them to the talons of a large bird of prey. This child was killed and carried off by a giant eagle. That is the world our ancestors were falling asleep in, a world where death could come from the grass, from the shadows, or straight down out of the sky. So how do you sleep when you are this small, this soft, and this hunted? The first answer is the oldest one, and we inherited it from the apes. You go up. Go and watch a chimpanzee today, or a gorilla, and you will see something remarkable happen every single evening. As the light fades, they climb, and before they sleep, they build. Every night, a wild chimp bends and weaves living branches into a fresh, springy platform, a sleeping nest high up in a tree. They do not reuse yesterday's. They build a new one every night in minutes. Up there, above the reach of most ground predators, wedged in the branches, they can finally let go and rest. This behavior is so old and so universal among the great apes that our own ancestors almost certainly did exactly the same thing. For millions of years, the human bed was a nest of folded branches, 30 feet in the air. Steel in the trees kept the leopards and hyenas at bay, but it came with its own quiet terror. If you roll over too far in your sleep, you fall, and a fall from the canopy can kill you just as dead as any cat. Some anthropologists believe this is why we sleep the way we do, curled and still, why our inner sense of balance stays half awake even in deep rest, some ancient part of the brain still whispering, "Do not roll, do not roll." But then something changed. Our ancestors began to grow. With Homo erectus, around 2 million years ago, our lineage became tall, long-legged, and heavy, built for walking and running across open ground. And a big, heavy body does not fit so well in a flimsy nest of branches. The trees, our oldest refuge, were slowly closing to us. We were being pushed down to the ground, into the open, into the exact place where all the teeth were waiting. To survive down there, we needed a new kind of protection, and we found the single greatest weapon our species has ever held. We found fire. Think about what fire actually is to a wild animal. It is bright, it moves, it roars, it gives off heat and smoke, and it hurts. Almost every predator on Earth is terrified of it, hardwired by instinct to stay away from open flame. So when our ancestors learned to capture fire, to feed it, and to keep it burning through the night, they did something no creature had ever done. They built a wall out of light. A leopard that would happily leap onto a sleeping human will not walk into a ring of firelight. The flames pushed the darkness back, and inside that circle of warm orange glow, for the first time, a human could lie down on the open ground and actually feel safe. We are not completely sure when this began. Homo erectus may have been using fire more than 1 million years ago, and there are hints it could be even older. But by a few 100,000 years ago, the controlled campfire was central to human life, and it changed everything about how we slept. The fire did more than scare off hunters. It gave warmth, so we no longer needed thick fur to survive the cold night. It gave light, stretching the day, giving us hours after sunset to sit together. And picture that scene, because it is one of the most important images in all of human history. A small band of people gathered close around a fire, faces lit orange, the endless black of night pressing in all around them, held back by nothing but a few burning branches. That fire was the first home. Everything we call safety began there. But fire alone was not enough, because a fire can die, and a single person cannot watch it forever. So our ancestors leaned on a second strategy, one so simple it is easy to overlook. They slept together. There was safety in numbers, real, measurable safety. A lone human asleep is an easy meal, but 20 or 30 humans sleeping in a tight group near a fire is a very different problem for a predator. There are too many bodies, too many eyes that might snap open, too much risk. And crucially, in a group that large, not everyone is asleep at the same time. This is where we get to one of the most beautiful ideas in the science of sleep, and it has a name. It is called the Sentinel Hypothesis. The idea is that human groups were never fully unconscious all at once. There was always someone awake, always a sentry. And here is the astonishing part. Scientists went and tested this idea in the real world, with the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last groups on Earth who still live as hunter-gatherers. Researchers tracked the sleep of a Hadza camp for many